Llegué al hospital a que me ayudaran y terminé presa.
Por favor.
Habiéndome enterado que había perdido un embarazo.
The sun is out.
¿Qué tal?
Hola, ¿qué tal?
¿Cómo le fue? Qué bueno.
Qué bueno.
How are things? What did you think? Well, okay, good morning and welcome to the new press conference of this edition of the San Sebastian Film Festival. As you know, today we're presenting one of the films that form part of the official section in competition. It is Belén, the new film, as the director of Dolores Fonzi, who was in the film festival with Blondie, with her previous film, and that we love very much. And to present the film, we've got a significant part of their team. So therefore, let me introduce them from the far end to here, and then we can open up the QA as soon as possible. So we have Javiera Balmaceda, the producer of the film. Julieta Cardinali, actress. Laura Paredes, actress, and one of the scriptwriters. Dolores Fonzi, director, and one of the scriptwriters and actress in the film. Camila Plaate, actress. Leticia, Cristi, actress. Producer, sorry, not an actress, producer. Matías, Mosteirín, producer. Okay, let's directly start with the questions. There's a first question here. Thank you. Sirene from Cinema Gavia. First of all, congratulations to the whole cast and crew. It's an incredible film, as you say. It's marvelous to show everyone on the screen this great injustice that we all have to get to know. And how does the idea come through your mind? Why do you want to show everyone this story, which is a true story, a great injustice, and also it forms part of the rights of women? Well, we can start with Cristi to answering the beginning of the question, why am I directing this film, which was not... Leticia showed me the project. And I continue. But since we had started in 2016, made a film with Santiago Metri, who's in the film, a very well-known Argentinian director. Which is called La Patota, and I'm nominated to the best as a best actress, and I win the award. When I win the award, Belén was in prison. I realized she was in jail for 2 years and 2 months. Through Soledad, who was with different groups, I find out about this. And when I win the award, I put up, I say, Freedom for Belén, a board poster. Leticia was in the room. Everyone said, who's Belén? Asked who Belén. Ana Correa's book, which is called Where Somos Belén. She buys the rights of the book and they start to work on the script. 2019. I had not directed Blondie yet. They thought about me to do the lawyer, to portray the lawyer. We didn't have a director. I premiered Blondie and they said they've got some aptitude to film something and be a director, and she offers rewriting it, act and direct it. And as I come from in favor of that cause, and then the law of abortion and the militancy and the struggle in favor of it, I thought it was a real gift. So therefore with Leticia and Javiera Balmaceda, who was the director of Blondie, my first film, we set up a magical tandem, and here we are today. There's a question.
Hi, Alessandro Bizzotto from Players Magazine, Italy. I need to speak English, I'm sorry about
Don't worry.
Oh, français, c'est la même chose. For Dolores, Fonzi, as an actress mostly than a director, you transformed the courtroom in a kind of battlefield in this movie. So I'd like to...
In a what? Sorry?
In a battlefield.
Ah, sí.
Like you know, the room of a battle. I'd like to know if, as an actress, you felt also the weight, not just of giving life to a character, but of a symbol, in a way, a collective symbol. And the rage you show, was the character or was partially your personal rage dealing with such an important issue, you know, in Europe is something... It's amazing in a negative way to know that in Argentina, something like that happened just 10 years ago, more or less. Thank you. Congratulations for the movie.
Thank you. But which was the question?
The rage was yours. In creating this movie, as an actress, the rage you show, was your own rage or was just a character?
Of course. Okay, ¿en English or Spanish?
Puedes hablar en castellano,
Okay.
ellos tienen traducción.
Por supuesto que,
Of course.
que lo referencial con respecto a la
With reference to being a militant
me sirvió mucho
and defending
para-
it,
para poder
this cause
ponerme en ese
allowed
rol
me
de
to
abogada.
portray the role as a lawyer.
¿Estoy contestando bien? ¿Es rey?
Am I understanding rage?
Ah, okay, perfecto.
Yes, the wrath, the
I
rage.
don't think it was rage.
No,
I think
no.
it's like a very good behavior in court because she could be like podría haber prendido fuego todo.
She could have burnt that character, and instead of
Trying to do the good thing, a good thing in a good way, putting her heart in the cause, you know, like putting all together the organizations and everybody was doing that rage instead of her. I think the rage was inside, like coming from inside, and she was like trying to sustain and to believe that she could take her out with all that anger inside, but trying to be politic, you know, in a way. Like, so creo que
And I believe politics in this film is placed in her behavior in a very subtle way, because she has to bear a system that doesn't work, but in turn she can't fight against that from rage, but from understanding that if you unite, you can, if she had been on her own, her rage, she wouldn't have managed to achieve that union. I think for politics in general, and the character being a lawyer, she has to have a lot of idea of how to join the most amount of people so that this can take place. And Soledades, the real Soledades, and I took on that state that she had, that I possessed, portraying her role. She comes from calm and relax. People that have that work, quite curiously, they live politics and the life of law in a very calm and relaxed way, and intriguing, because we as actresses, and being people who are much more sensitive or more expressive, we have another way of managing rage. She had an objective in mind, and she managed to achieve it because she could manage that rage. Tucumán, the patriarchal system, and the injustices that Belén lived through. Question here in the front. Hi, Maria from Amar Ertubi. As a woman, I would like to congratulate you. I left the film crying because we all felt the ultra-right wing is going up in Spain, and I want to thank you, first of all, because those tough realities of abuse of girls aren't contemplated. We're always talking about a bubble discourse of the women staying at home. So I want to thank you, first of all, as a woman. I would like to know whether you're being in touch with Belén, because you know that in Spain, the case of rape gang rape. This is called The Woman Has Had to Leave the Country. A woman who's a victim has had to disappear and leave the country because she's been raped by a gang rape. I'm not too sure whether you got in touch and also with Belén and asked Camila as well. How did you work on the character? Because congratulations. The containment and the rage is an enormous amount of emotion that you portray and transmit and convey. For example, we worked with Soledades, the real Soledades, and Belén, the real Belén. Belén has always been aware of the situation. First of all, she agreed with Ana Correa's book, which is called We Are Belén. She was in the process. She knew we bought the rights. She knew we were working on the film. She saw the film, of course, and we're in contact with you. I met her. We all met her. And she's very happy. And in the pre-premiere in Argentina, I leave the room and I saw her and I hold her and she said, relaxed. She said, yes, I'm very relaxed. But she'd already seen the film. But she's very aware, she's very happy and very committed. And she says that the circle is sort of like closing with this film, which is a gift for her. And to add to what you're saying, Belén, she left Tucumán, she had to leave she now lives in Buenos Aires. She came from 9 years ago, she lives in Buenos Aires. She lives around a lot of people who don't know who Belén. She has a lot of friends. She can't tell the story. She came with invited guests. I wanted to take friends, but she didn't know who I was. Don't say hello because people don't know that I'm Belén. So it's very difficult for her. So yes, she knows. To work on the character was, first of all, I felt it went right through me. This was me as a woman from Tucumán, and also as a mother. So initially, that reality hit me of the facts, my conditions as a woman, of being part of Tucumán, of being a Tucumán woman, and to understand that Belén's reality from a day-to-day thing that happens in the north of Argentina, which is a province which is very conservative. It's very Christian, but it's also a province that has had a lot of resistance and a lot of struggle. And this is shown in the film of the hope and of coming together in social resistance, all of this part of social communication that takes place there, which gives you a lot of strength. To portray the role was to talk a lot. I did it talk with Dolores to ask her to put on weight, to work in the field and go to the public hospitals to see how this happens, how they manage themselves in public hospitals. I've gone through experience of having to go to a public hospital, a children's hospital, to see how they behave and the violence, how they treat you, and it's horrible to live through this. I had a lot of information from the more real aspects of the character, and things that were very close to me as a Tucumán woman, and having gone through these experiences. And then I talked a lot. I read Ana Correa's book, was a key element. It was like a Bible throughout the shooting of the film, because it also allows you to see the character, the political side of the character, of what the Belén case is all about. But Ana allows you to see that there's a person that has dreams, who has a life and fought for that life, but how Belén was before what happened, how it was when it happened and what happened after. That's a key process for building the character. And what we worked a lot upon was to see the difference between fragility and vulnerability through which Belén goes through and what's happening to her, and to put my body into that fatal exposure, and in turn to work all of the strength that she had and her position and her empowerment vis-a-vis the situation. I always say in the film, this is reflected as the lawyer brings her a book And then a couple of days later, just with that tool, Belén starts to have another awareness and another awareness of what's going on, because it's easy to make you to feel guilty. Tucumán is a province which is very small geographically. Silence and fear and shame is something that is coexists. To break down with this barrier is very difficult because it's very close, all of these aspects. So we had to work in two aspects of Belén: her fragility, vulnerability, and also her sensitivity, and her power and her strength and dignity. That is to say, how she, the decision that she wanted to be called Belén, it's an act of honor and courage, completely human, of defending her dreams, even being in the situation she was in. So there were a lot of values that she had to have them present when I portrayed the role. Is that an answer? There's a question. Hi, Dolores. Beyond the human side that the film has, of what you tell and the story you tell very well, it's very important and political cinema. The question is about the intentionality of the film. Do we have to continue to be continue to be feminists? Not everything is lost, but not everything has been gained. Do we have to continue to make noise as women? And then to talk about the decision, which is perfect, of finishing with Mercedes Sosa, which gives it even more power at the end of the film.
No, de nada, gracias a vos.
Thank you.
Mercedes Sosa.
Well, I think it's a film that it reflects the militancy, but it's also the fight against the law of abortion in Argentina. It's not just about that. I feel it's a film that talks about injustice and the institutional apparatus that violate, that don't exercise justice in the hands on who defends that justice and whose hands that justice is. It talks more universally about you don't have to be a feminist militant to see the film. You don't have to be a man to have any judgment upon the film, or a woman. It's not, of course, it's a film, it's in charge of us, and the majority of us are women. But it's about women. The drama is in the body of women because it happened to Belén. But I do feel that it exceeds the feminist militancy and genre because it's a universal subject. And Soledades could have been a woman. If it had been a man, sorry, it could have been a man. But obviously, normally men are about men when films that are men lawyers. But women have to pick up their kids at school. We're more used to, we show that because it forms part of the plot. She's a woman she's married, she's got 2 kids, she's used to lesser cases. She's got this trial that is going to change her life. And what she knows as a lawyer, for sure, that she has to put her bodies and to cross the fire and expose herself to whatever comes along. And that's the universal thing. Anyone from any place, from her role or her social situation, can change something if they find out or they're interested in other people in some way or another. Everyone can change something, and that's the fundamental importance, the key importance. Another thing that I've repeated, which is important, there's something that's claimed not only for Argentina, but not only for the Tucumán area or province in Argentina, but universally, the coming together of women, that we were able to achieve that powerful movement which changes the law of abortion in 2020. There is the fight against, the collective work of feminist organization that makes it clear there's operation so that if you divide and you will reign, but there's a fear and the tiredness that we have as well, that the film brings a breath of fresh air, because if we achieve things, we'll achieve that whenever we want, together, when we need to do now or whenever. So therefore I say, well, okay, it talks about several layers. The film has several layers. The intentionality is that any person that can be identified and can feel I hope it inspires you so that you can be a better person.
Hay una pregunta aquí atrás.
Question back here.
Hola, buenos días.
Hi, good morning. Mario from Mundo Cine. First of all, congratulations for the film to all of you. I would like to ask you that the film comes along at a time which is quite complex for the cinema industry in Argentina, with all the cuts and debates upon the work of Inca. What was it like to produce and prepare and to shoot a film in this context, especially a film which denunciates such as the film is? What message do you think it gives upon making these types of films, especially in Argentina, due to the context that I mentioned? Unfortunately, I saw filming in Argentina is practically impossible. Production has reduced from 100 films to 1. There's no support from the INCA. All the resources are empty that have to do with the state and cinema and culture in general. The platforms, Prime Video comes in with Cayese, and we can produce with finance from the platform itself. And within the miracle of filming in Argentina nowadays, there are 3 Argentinian films in competition, so we continue resisting and we continue to giving value to these spaces, whatever the way the film is shot, because we're at a crossroads now that we hope that won't last a long time, but we have to be prepared for when this changes so we can improve with good ideas and readdress these situations. This is going to happen. And that's the way we made the film. It's a way of resisting. The producers can perhaps talk about this as well. We coincide with what you're saying. I think an Argentinian industry is looking at the mid and long term, because we believe that Argentina has always valued its talent culture, and we believe that these agreements that we will be achieved in the future, and it's our responsibility to sustain a system that slowly but surely we will have to rebuild. But we trust and we are sure that there's a discussion and a debate that has to take place, but there will be agreements that will be achieved, because Argentina is not going to give in to a capital and heritage that it has, which is its cinematography, which how valuable it is, and so much that it's given to our country in a film like this is eloquent vis-a-vis everything that it can express and address and mobilize a society vis-a-vis film. I add to that, and answering with this film, amongst the other thing, is it those that have to awaken, let's hope it builds and can accompany us, that we are here thanks to Amazon, MGM Studios. We have the possibility to be in the festival, to be in film theaters. We premiered last Thursday in Argentina. It gave us the possibility, was guaranteed when we made this film. Of course, it was going to end up on the platform, but we were accompanied. But it's very important for us and for the Institute and for those that have to make decisions. So therefore, thank you very much for all of that. Bravo to Amazon for their courage and for allowing us to make this film. The truth is, films are with private capital are being made in Argentina, but we need public policies that make sure that the production can be independent and be diversity and innovation, and there's a capacity to risk, and there's an artistic ecosystem that can also nourish and dialogue and maintain a dialogue with the commercial side of things in the market, of course. There's a question here. Congratulations for the film. And as you've just mentioned, we have to celebrate that Argentinian film is still very healthy, and it's showing so, and makes films like this in the middle of a situation of a climate, social political climate, which is not favorable to the cinema industry. I would like to know, how was the film received in Argentina in the context, in the context of Milei as a president? I want to congratulate all of the the team and the director whose face is familiar to us, I was impressed by a film directed by this man, Paulina, in which that character reminded me a little thematically about this character, the protagonist, portrayed by Dolores, and that was your beginning as an actress, and there were also adversities. She wanted to help the people. She thought, I've seen a continuity of the character. In this case, she's a lawyer defending all of this. I've associated that character and the other. And the truth is, what's drawn my attention, I'm not sure that's my opinion. If I'm right, there's a lot of color at the beginning, in the hospital and in jail. It's all very gray and then dark, and then the color starts to acquire the joy and the festive joy of when justice is being made. I'm not too sure whether this is a coincidence or you've thought it because that transition of gray, the dark gray to that festive color, and the room has exploded, really. I have not seen in the morning that we're all a bit tired with having a coffee, trying to wake up and not fall asleep. But everyone started to applaud at the end of the screening of the film. And this film should have win some award. Thank you very much. If you could reflect that today on the internet, say that please. Write it in all of your articles so that we can know that in Argentina. Paulina, the film, I did La Patota, but the film that was used in Spain was called Paulina, where I presented the role of that poster with Belén. There's a link from that film, yes. Yes, it is thought that the jail, the legal system, being arrested, and the hospital is grey so that the camera doesn't have much opinion. For it to be dry, it's like as if it were death. And it is thought of that the movement of women outside is life and vital. In verdad, ella canta la otra no. That's another film. There's a reference to that. How the camera is live, it's much more lively, and the camera moves around. And there were ideas that have to do with that dry being detained and arrest, and sterile as something which is not alive and outside, where we impose, shall we say, that liveliness. Of course, Julieta, who's the photographer and the art director and all the different departments, but there was an idea, a precise idea of opposing the state of being enclosed and then the outside scene, and thank you very much. A question here in the front row. Hi, congratulations for the film. Paloma is my name, and I'm going to write this for Pícara, a Basque magazine. Yesterday, I left the film crying, and immediately I got into the film Nuestra Tierra. And so it was a moment of cases in Tucumán province that were very powerful. It was very intense. And now that I have to write this article for a magazine here in the Basque Country, and I asked myself last night, how did you feel that these cases, how cases, how they're received in other countries and other cultures, which are local, but on the other side, they are universal. What's your feeling there? How it's received by the audience, well, we saw it in Buenos Aires, and it was quite particular as well. And there was a screening in Domón, which is an iconic cinema in Buenos Aires. It's in front of the square of the Congress building where people demonstrate. It was quite vital, and it was quite, as Dolores said today, people took on the joy of seeing a case that for many people for the women's movement was quite emblematic, and how it was mixed between people was specific because it was Belén and people who came up to see the film with what Dolores said, a film that brings along that memory and of resistance, and that to not forget about interest, well, to activate as a feeling there are other people, men and women, and it makes sense, not a feeling of despair. And it's a film with the laws of film, with the procedures for a film to work. We wanted to make a film using the script that can address all of those issues, and for it to be effective in the narrative sense, and to make a film that started up with a film of a judgment and to gain more than the power of militancy and work, how the life of one person who's an isolated heroine, and that starts to generate. It becomes contagious, and we liked it. A film that starts off like that, and all of a sudden, it leaves the genre of just being a court trial, and then humor, which we believe it's necessary. It's a film that is a bit light to a certain extent, and not be prejudiced that serious things are always serious. So therefore, we feel that everything that we thought of is being received. People said, I laughed 7 times, but I cried 15 times. But there's a bit of that. How it's received in Europe, you must tell us. We don't know. Obviously, it's a case of a small province in a country, and it was short a while ago, so therefore there wasn't legal abortion, and I'm sure those that used to have abortion beforehand, you're very lucky. And it was relatively short while ago. How it will be received here, not sure it will be received as if it was like a third world country from a distance that's so far away. It's a mystery. We don't know how it's going to be received here. You can appropriate the cause from the injustice. That it can happen to anyone everywhere. There are countries that are more used to that the institution, that power, it's always unfair for women, these cases, of course. I'm sorry we can't hear that, what they're saying. No, 18th of September, it was premiered, screened for the first time last Thursday in Argentina. It was well received excellently. It was incredible, very good critics. And everyone was very moved and thankful for the fresh air and to claiming a reality that was a short while ago. We traveled 2 days later and we continue to receive all types of messages and videos, people applauding, people crying, a lot of remarks, a lot of applause during the film, and at the end of the film, a reception where everyone end up forming part and an echo of what the film proposes. If what we need a lot, we're very thankful and we're very grateful. People are grateful for the film, apart from what you deal with. We receive a thank you for being courageous. We're starting up that fire again. That something appears which makes it contagious. Soledades is in the room. The real lawyer, here she is.
Sí, Sole, vení. Yo estaba muy inquieta.
Sole. And before asking other questions, I want to say Ana Correa, the author of the book, is in the room as well. With Leticia, we had the good luck of reading the manuscript of Somos Elena before it was published, and that's commitment and journalistic research. Ana has trusted the producer in this project, and we know that for her today. It's a materialization of a dream. Thank you very much for so much trust and conviction in us. Thank you. Soledad, how are you?
Aterrizó anoche muy tarde.
She landed very late last night without her luggage,
En eso
so
estaba, intentando ir a
that's what she
comprar
was
algo.
wearing. She was trying to buy some clothes, it
Todavía no
seems.
había-
No.
Todo depende de cómo nos va hoy.
It all depends on how things go today. I think we didn't hear the question. It depends upon what you think when you see the film. I take advantage that we've got Soledad on the panel to ask you about your relationship with the film and how you've lived through this entire process.
Y bueno, como una
Well,
locura, la verdad que
it's been crazy.
no es tan divertido.
Law isn't so much fun. If it weren't for this film, perhaps
No se vería lo que
you
hacemos
couldn't
los
see
abogados
what
y
we
las abogadas.
lawyers, men and women, do in our work.
A mí me parece
It seems to me
muy importante esta
it's very,
película,
this
¿no?
film
Porque
is
a
very
veces lo
important
que pasa
because what happens
detrás
sometimes
de la vida de los
behind the
casos,
life of these court cases
no se ve desde afuera
can't be
como
seen from the
debiera, ¿no?
outside
El
as it should.
sufrimiento que hay dentro
The
de los
suffering within the
casos,
court cases,
bueno, que dentro de los casos
that
hay
within the court
personas.
cases there
Entonces,
are
esta
people.
película un poco
So
lo
therefore
que
this
hace
film,
es
what it
mostrar
does is to
el
show
backstage de los
the
casos,
backstage
o sea,
of the
¿qué hay
court
detrás?
cases.
Me parece
That's
que
what's
eso,
behind the
está
court
muy bien
cases.
hecho,
And I
¿no?
think that's
Es
been well
la mejor
portrayed.
forma que
It's
se
the
podía
best
haber
way
contado esta historia.
to have told the story. And I think that we don't have time because of the reasons of the festival. Everything's overlapped for further questions. There are still some questions outstanding. Sorry, those people that couldn't intervene. And thank you very much to the whole team of Belén. Good luck with the screening this evening. Thank you.